So you've sent your soil samples off to the lab and received your results back. Before going on to talk about nutrient planning, I'll just provide a quick overview of a soil analysis report. As mentioned in the soil sampling video, there are two off-the-shelf tests that you can get for soil analysis. A basic sample, which will provide the pH, the phosphorus, potassium and magnesium, and SAC Labs have recently added calcium, sodium, organic matter, calcium to magnesium ratio, the CEC and the soil type. The step further, going for the broad spectrum analysis. Now this is more commonly used for high value or sensitive crops or where there's a known deficiency with some of these extra micronutrients such as calcium, copper, etc. You might have livestock that have low selenium and you're looking to test the soil. Although you can't actually apply selenium to the soil, it's just going to give you more information on that. So this is an example of an SAC lab report. So to quickly explain the layout, going from left to right, first of all, we've got the nutrient that's been reported. Next over to the right, the result. That's the result for your soil. Next over is the units. So milligrams per litre is the amount actually available to the plant. Then we've got the target value, so that's the range of where we're looking for your result to sit in to be within the target status. And then we've got the target status. So for example, the first one there, phosphorus, the target status is moderate minus. And then your result is over to the far right under status. So they're reported in very low, low, moderate minus, moderate plus, high and very high. And there's a traffic light coloured system there. So green, amber and red. And obviously you're looking for everything to be within the green scale for it to be on target status. So now going down the nutrients. So first of all, we've got pH, which is a measure of the soil acidity, ranging from 1 to 7, with 1 being very acidic to 7 being neutral. It's at the top because it's the most important one and it drives the availability of all the other nutrients. Different soil types and different crops all have different requirements and different tolerances to pH levels. So next up are extractable phosphorus and extractable potassium. So these are fundamental to crop establishment and growth. And then we've got magnesium and then calcium. So they both have a role to play in livestock health and in how soils behave. A high magnesium soil will have a sticky or a heavy texture, whereas a soil with a high calcium content will be weak, fragile, and have a poorer overall structure. Further down, we've got the calcium to magnesium ratio, and again, that's related to soil types. There's also a relationship between these nutrients and potassium in relation to staggers and livestock. And these results will also determine if lime's needed, whether it should be calcium or magnesium lime that's required. Then going down, we've got organic matter. This is new to the reports and it's probably more valuable in intensive arable rotations rather than on beef and sheep units. This report here is based on an upland beef and sheep farm and you can see the organic matter is sitting at 18%, so it's out, it's above the target value. So in a normal sort of livestock farm, organic matter isn't normally a problem. Then we've got sodium and CEC, which is the cation exchange capacity, which simply is the ability for the soil to retain nutrients with a positive cation. Don't worry too much about these. These are more for an advisor to provide recommendations. And then at the very bottom, we've got the lime recommendation for arable and for grassland. So for grass, we're targeting a pH of 6, and for arable, the target is 6.2. The recommendation is reported in tonnes per hectare, so remember to divide that by 2.471 to get your rate per acre. You should always get a FACS qualified advisor to explain the results and provide any recommendations. So before we start to look at nutrient planning, it's important to understand the role of all these nutrients and what their importance is. The triangle on the bottom right displays basically the food chain of nutrients, and these are all required to work together as a team to promote good soil health. So at the top we've got N, which is actually the pH, and this should be the starting point in correcting any soil deficiencies. pH is needed for the full soil cycle, and balancing the pH drives the availability of all the other nutrients to the plants. Soils with an optimum pH encourages the microbial activity of the soil. Soil needs air, water and microbes to break down organic matter and recycle nutrients before the plants can use them. It enhances the availability of nutrients in fertilisers, which in turn is saving farmers money, and ultimately pH is the backbone to efficient crop production. Then we've got P, phosphorus, and K, potassium, and these provide structure and strength, and they're also needed for photosynthesis. Then we've got calcium, magnesium, and sulphur, and then below there we've got all other micronutrients. The table at the top shows the percentage of nutrient availability at different pH levels. Now in southwest Scotland, we mainly see pHs ranging from the 5.5 to 6, and it just shows you there at a pH of 5.5, 23% of nitrogen applied is being wasted. Now at today's fertiliser prices, that can quickly add up to a lot of money, so it's vital to get pH right. Also, P and K are less available the lower the pH is. So the final step is to formulate a nutrient budget plan, which is specific to your farm. A nutrient budget quantifies the amount of nutrients that are imported and exported from your farming system. It will include tailored recommendations based on your soil type and average rainfall, the soil nutrient status, the previous crop, current crop and the next crop, along with any crop yields. The reason for doing this is to ensure that on a field-by-field basis, that the crop requirements are being met and off-takes being replaced, that organic manures on farm are being utilised to the best ability and then balanced with fertiliser requirements, and that no nutrients are being over-applied and wasted. A nutrient budget will provide detailed information on an individual field basis. Recommendations can be formulated and presented in a range of formats, however they all contain the same information. The soil nutrient status, the crop requirements, the nutrients supplied from any organic manures applied, such as slurry. Therefore, it's advisable to sample on-farm manures to get a more accurate result. Otherwise, we can just use the book value from the SAC technical notes. And then you will receive a recommendation to balance the N, P and K requirements with purchased fertilisers after on-farm manures have been utilised. There are a range of resources available on nutrient planning, and some links to useful guides are detailed on the screen. For more information, please contact the FAS helpline.